What's up? I know that I just recently uploaded a video where I talked about should I invest into Cine lenses, and my overall verdict was no, I do not need Cine lenses. So how come I'm shooting with a lot of Cine lenses on this project, and I actually purchased 2 of them recently. In this video I will give you a full review of the Tokina 11-20 after using it for an entire month every day on a project here in Las Vegas. So more on this after the intro. My name is Damien Cooper and welcome to Monkey Pictures. So, as I've already mentioned, in the video where I talked about investing into Cine glass, my overall verdict was not to do it because the cons just didn't outweigh the pros when it comes to my line of work. This project, a 6-week documentary here in Las Vegas, is different though, and I needed a wide angle lens, and this is the perfect lens for it. And if you want to see that project, it will be up next week, so hit the subscribe button to watch the behind the scenes of the full 6-week documentary. Spoiler alert, most of this documentary is being shot on a Canon C300 Mark III, handheld, and with a shotgun microphone to record audio. So I definitely needed a lens where I can get all of my subjects in frame and still be close enough to record shotgun audio. So I didn't really have one. I did have the Tokina 11-20 stills version, but that one just is really lightweight, it's flimsy, it's really hard and annoying to manual focus with, so I needed something else. And honestly, there isn't really anything on the market that is fast and that is really wide angled for the Canon C300 Mark III. Canon itself has 11-20, but that is only an aperture of 4. And since I'm shooting a lot of low light and indoors, I wanted to have something faster. And the parfocal actually does come in handy when shooting dock style. So now that I talked a little bit about the use case, and again I shot 85% of this documentary on this lens because 11mm is perfect to follow a couple of guys, have multiple subjects in your frame and still be able to record audio. Now let's talk about the body and the design of this lens. The overall build quality of this lens is pretty amazing. It is pretty heavy, but that is something that I really like, especially when using it on my Canon C300 Mark III with a V-mount battery attached. It has the perfect balance for this rig, and the stills version was just way too light and it off-balanced the entire rig. It's completely made out of metal, and this also makes for really great handling. It doesn't come with any kind of electronic attachments, so keep in mind that this is a complete manual lens, so you don't have autofocus, but you also don't have any other things like focus assist, or it doesn't display your aperture or your millimeter inside of your camera. So that is something that you have to know if you're switching from autofocus lenses over to a complete full manual lens. We have 3 different rings on this lens. Number 1 is a declicked aperture ring for adjusting your t-stops, and it goes all the way from 2.9 to 22. And this one is rather short and it's not too smooth, so you don't really hit it by accident when you're using it to manually focus with your hand on the lens. So this one I really like, and you can easily and very smooth go from a 2.9 to a t-stop of 4, for example, if you just want to make minor adjustments to your exposure. The second ring is our zoom ring, and this one is rather short, and this was something that was really important to me because I want to quickly be able to zoom from 11 to 20mm and then from 20mm all the way back to 11. And on some lenses, the Sigma Cine lenses for example, the zoom throw is about 300 degrees, so you can't really go quickly from one end to the other, and this for my line of work is just a little bit annoying. The zoom throw is also really smooth, so it makes it very easy to just do a gradual zoom in from 11 all the way to 20. The third ring on our lens is the one to pull focus, and here I'm not 100% happy. First of all, it has a 300-degree focus throw, and this was the one thing that didn't even make me want to purchase this one in the first place, but then I thought about it. You're rarely using the lens to focus all the way from 0.2 meters to infinity, because that just rarely happens. Number 2, it's parfocal, so even when you do zoom ins, you don't really have to readjust the focus, so that is one scenario where you don't have to focus either. Number 3, it's an ultra wide angle. So generally there's a lot in frame that is focused anyway, so you don't really have to use the focus throw that much anyhow. And when using this lens for the last 6 weeks on a documentary shoot, I rarely had any issues with it being 300 degrees. So that definitely is something that I wouldn't worry about if I was you when using this hands manually with your fingers. But here's one thing I really don't like about the focus throw, and that is its smoothness, because it's very smooth from 0.2 meters all the way up to about 1.5 meters, but after that it's absolutely not smooth at all, and it gets really hard to focus. So when you're in that 1 to 3 meter or even 1 to infinity range and you just need to quickly and smoothly focus, that really doesn't work with that lens. And I asked online, there's a couple of people that say that it should be very smooth all the way through. Some people say that it's really normal that it's not as smooth. For me, this is kind of annoying, especially when you do these fade out shots where you have a subject in frame and then you just want to pull the focus so that they're actually just fading out into blurriness. It's really hard to keep the camera stable when it's so hard to pull that focus. So this is one thing that I really don't like about this lens, and I will ask Tokina if this is normal or if I just have a bad copy. And if you're interested in the results, just follow me on Instagram, because as soon as I find out, I will give you an update there in my stories. The lens has a 95mm diameter, 4 matte boxes, clamp on, and this actually worked pretty well with my matte box from Tilta. I'm using the Mirage with it sometimes, and it clamps on easily, and I have no issues with this at all. Now let's talk about the image quality. I'm pretty satisfied with the image quality overall. It's definitely not sharp, and it also shows a little bit of chromatic aberrations on the side, especially at 11mm. For me personally, I like that look. It gives it a little bit of character and it looks a little bit more vintage and organic, but it's definitely not 100% of a clean look. So if you use it for documentary, that's actually perfect. But if you use it for a clean commercial or real estate and you just want to have sharp corners, on 11mm, it's definitely not 100% sharp, and there is a little bit of fringing and chromatic aberration. In the center of the frame, the lens is rather sharp. It's definitely not the sharpest lens in my tool bag, but again, it doesn't really have to be. But keep that in mind, it's not a complete clean look and you don't have the sharpest lens possible, but it's definitely sharp enough, and I don't really have any complaints. A lot of the times it's even a little bit softer than it has to be, because it's really kind of hard to pull focus on 11 to 20mm, because you don't really have that much background separation when you're at 11mm, so you're not 100% sure if everything is in focus or not, because almost everything is in focus. And then sometimes when looking at a big monitor, you see that you probably just missed focus by a little bit, which makes the image a little bit softer. On a commercial project like this, especially when you have a big monitor to pull focus on, that definitely isn't a problem. On a documentary shoot, it's something that you have to note. So overall, when it comes to the image quality of the lens, I have absolutely no problems with it, and especially for a documentary project like this, this is the absolute perfect choice for me. So this was my little review of the Tokina 11-20 Cine version, and overall I think this is the perfect ultra wide angle for a Super 35 sensor. So if you have a Red Komodo, a Blackmagic Pocket 6K or a Canon C300 Mark III, I think this is the near perfect lens for it. It does have some drawbacks, like the not so smooth focal ring. I also would appreciate it if it had a smaller focus throw around 180 degrees, but overall I still have a 100% recommendation for this lens if you're a Super 35 sensor shooter. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, because it really helps the channel grow. Subscribe for more, and I hope to see you on the next one. Because that would just fuck up the steak, because there's a car coming. Focal ring, but other than that, fuck my life. And if you want to see the full behind the scenes, it's already up on my channel. So click here. No, it's not on my channel. Damn it.
What the fuck are you talking about?
This is the next video. I will link it up nowhere, because it's not fucking out yet. Jesus. Jeez. Okay.
I hate you with all my life.